Welcome to another great episode of Royal, Black, and Elite, where we talk about Black history from the other side, the royal side. We also talk about what is happening today in contemporary Black royalty and history events and milestones that affect the Black community. I am your host and lecturer, social historian, Lady Trinette Wilson, and I'm always excited when you join me for another great episode. And let me tell you, since the passing of Queen Elizabeth II, there has been a great interest around Black royalty and especially modern day Black royalty. So here we talk about modern day and past Black royalty. So it's exciting today to bring you a new person that we haven't talked about before, and I think that you'll find very interesting. But before we get started, will you do this for me? Could you please press like, share, and subscribe? And I want to thank everyone who's already gone out and subscribed and like. We're growing so much, and it's because of you and your interest in your past and in the future of Black royalty. So I'm excited about it, and I've always loved coming each week to introduce you to the Royal, Black, and Elite. And today, I wanted to first give my condolences to the Queen and the family. Since the passing of Queen Elizabeth II, she was the longest reigning queen, reigned for 70 years. And she died at the age of 96 years old. And a lot of times when people think about Britain and the monarchy, it is not always positive, or especially around Black circles. But I have to admit, the British monarchy abolished slavery 32 years before America did. So during this podcast, instead of talking about what happened around the British monarchy, I'd like to talk about modern day monarchs, because a lot of times people don't know that Meghan Markle was not and is not the only modern day monarch who is currently married to someone who is in a line of succession to the throne. And so today I'd like to introduce you to a very interesting and stylish woman. She is the Princess Angela of Liechtenstein. Born Angela Gisela Brown on February 3rd, 1958, in Bocas Town, Bocas del Toro in Panama. This Panamanian and African beauty was born to businessman Javier Francisco Brown, and her mother was Sylvia Maritza Berg. Now, when she was only 5 years old, her family relocated to New York, and this is where she was raised. Now, her beginning was no indication that she was going to become the first Black woman to marry into a reigning European dynasty. But she was raised in a well-to-do family, as her father was a businessman. And with beauty and an eye for fashion, after graduating from high school, Princess Angela studied fashion at the Parsons School of Design, where she received the Oscar de la Renta Gold Thimble Award. That's an award for being really good. And after graduation in 1980, she became a stylist for 3 years and later partnered with a Hong Kong firm to create her own label called A. Brown. She also became the creative art director for the fashion brand Adrian Vitandi in Beverly Hills until September of 1999. Now, in between that time is when she would meet her future husband. In 1997, she met Prince Maximilian of Liechtenstein. He is the second son of Hans Adam II, the Prince of Liechtenstein, at a private party. Prince Maximilian is also a Harvard-educated investment executive. And in fact, because of the success of Prince Maximilian in his career, the Liechtenstein family wealth exceeds $4.4 billion. They are the 10th richest monarchy in the world, only behind some really big hitters. So Saudi Arabia is number one at $1.4 trillion. Kuwait, $360 billion. Qatar, $335 billion. Even the British royal family is worth $88 billion. So they move in some really big money circles. Now, Liechtenstein is a constitutional monarch in the Alpine Mountains between Austria and Switzerland. It's a small country, but it is a very wealthy place because of Prince Maximilian. After meeting in 1997, their pending nuptials was officially announced, and they were married in Vaduz, Liechtenstein on January 21st, 2000. And then they were married again on January 29th during a religious ceremony at a church. It was called St. Vincent's Ferrier in New York. And you know, it was beautiful because both of their families attended the wedding, which brings us to, was there some pushback around them being married? And they said even though there was a little, the marriage was met with different reactions. Some celebrated because, they were happy for their son and their relatives. Some pointed to their 11-year age gap, which, me, myself, I look at them and I could not tell she was 11 years older than Prince Maximilian, but she is, and she looks beautiful, and she seems to be growing more and more beautiful day by day. So in spite of how people felt, or maybe perhaps even what they had to say, they have been married for 22 years. And during her wedding, she actually designed the dress that she wore. And she also wore a Kinski tiara. And this was an heirloom of the Liechtenstein house since 1870. This dress is very familiar because it had a great influence on an incoming modern royal. Earlier in the video, I talked about the passing of Queen Elizabeth II and Meghan Markle, the Duchess of Sussex. And as you see here, her dress is the exact same as Princess Angela's. So Princess Angela's fashion style and fashion sense translated into the new royal 22 years later. And so I hope they get to talk, because I'm sure they are experiencing a lot of the same type of lifestyle. Now the prince and princess share a son, and his name is Prince Alphonse Constantine Maria of Liechtenstein, Count of Reichberg. Okay. He was born on May 18th, 1.5 years after they were married. That's quite a name. He's sixth in line to the crown of Liechtenstein. He often travels with his mother and participates in the events, the state events that they have to do as a royal family. They live a private life, but they do a lot of events. So this particular house, this is their ancestral castle, and it is outside of Vienna, and it is the only ancestral castle of a ruling dynasty in Austria. It was built in 1130 by the Liechtensteins, but in 1295 it left the family due to marriage. But in 1807 it was brought back by Prince Joseph von und zu Liechtenstein, and in 1812 it became a museum. So if you're ever in that area, you can go and see a castle, and you'll know someone whose family member owns it. So Princess Angela is just a phenomenal woman, a phenomenal story. Has been married again for 22 years and been a royal for all of those years. I had never heard of her, and in my research always to try to bring you the newest and the greatest in Royal Black and Elite, coming across this woman of honor and grace was indeed my privilege, and of course a pleasure to bring her background and her life to you. I hope that you have enjoyed it. As always, it's always my pleasure to talk to you about those that we knew little about, and I hope that you learned a lot about Princess Angela of Liechtenstein. As always, I thank you for tuning in to Royal Black and Elite, and remember, if you want the book, go out to Amazon as we prepare for 2023 and the launch of our exhibit and our lecture. We're going all across the country. I hope I get to see you in one of those cities. And then, of course, go by our merchandise store. We've got merch, and you pick up your t-shirt so you can represent during our book signings. Each time you pick up a book, or a t-shirt, it allows us to conduct etiquette classes in low-income and urban areas. Log on to www.nauep.com to know more about what we do here. And remember to tune in each week for Royal, Black, and Elite. Hit that like, that subscribe, and that share button. And thank you to all of you who already have gone out and supported, liked, and shared. Now, I'll see you on the next great episode of Royal, Black, and Elite. Thanks for joining me.